Here is the latest on the standoff between Prigozhin and the Russian military. President Vladimir Putin vowed decisive actions early Saturday to quell what he called an armed rebellion by the mercenary leader Yevgeny Prigozhin, whose forces had claimed control of the southern Russian city of Rostov-on-Don and were threatening to march to Moscow. In a 5-minute address to the nation, Mr. Putin called the rebellion by Mr. Prigozhin treasonous and a stab in the back of our country and our people. Mr. Putin said that Rostov's military and civilian functions had essentially been blocked, and called the situation difficult, appearing to acknowledge some success by Mr. Prigozhin, who on Saturday morning said they had taken over the southern military headquarters of the Russian armed forces in the city. Mr. Prigozhin rejected the charge of treason and said, in an audio message, that his forces were patriots of our motherland. Security forces were scrambled across western Russia as regional governors urged residents to stay off the roads, and a counter-terrorist operation regime was declared in Moscow, giving the authorities expanded legal powers. The confrontation marked the most dramatic threat to the Russian president's power since he took over leadership in 1999. Governors of regions along the major M4 highway linking Rostov-on-Don to Moscow, about 600 miles to the north, had said convoys of military equipment were being moved on the highway and urged local residents to stay away from the corridor. Videos verified by The Times also show signs of active fighting along the M4 highway south of Voronezh city, including helicopters and a destroyed truck along the road, following reports that Wagner fighters had entered the Voronezh region. The region is halfway between Moscow and Rostov. We're blockading the city of Rostov and going to Moscow, Mr. Prigozhin says in a video that surfaced early Saturday, verified by the New York Times, showing him in the company of armed men in the courtyard of the headquarters, asking for the chief of the general staff of the Russian military and the Russian defense minister, Sergei Shoigu. Here is the latest. Russian authorities said they were charging Mr. Prigozhin, who rose to prominence by leveraging his close relationship to Mr. Putin, with organizing an armed rebellion against the Russian president. For months, Mr. Prigozhin has accused Russia's top military leaders of incompetence for not adequately supplying his Wagner forces with ammunition as they fought alongside the Russian military in Ukraine. On Friday, he directly challenged the Kremlin's position that invading Ukraine was necessary for the Russian nation, appearing to publicly push back against one of Mr. Putin's main justifications for the war. Russian pro-war activists responded with alarm to Mr. Prigozhin's allegations, fearing that an open conflict between the army and Wagner forces could threaten the Russian front lines during the Ukrainian counteroffensive. President Volodymyr Zelensky of Ukraine said on Twitter that Russia's weakness is obvious, adding that the longer Russia keeps its troops and mercenaries on our land, the more chaos, pain, and problems it will have for itself later. Britain's Defense Intelligence Agency described the crisis as the most significant challenge to the Russian state in recent times and said that the loyalty of Russia's security forces and especially the Russian National Guard would be crucial. Russian forces fired more than 20 missiles at Ukraine's capital in a pre-dawn assault on Saturday that left at least 3 people dead, in the 8th attack on Kiev this month.